So let's look at a pretty serious defect of beer, an antiseptic or medicinal note caused by chlorophenols. Now, chlorophenols are a class of compound. They're phenolic compounds that contain chlorine atoms. And humans are very, very sensitive to these compounds. Tiny trace amounts can make the beer undrinkable. Now, the chemicals which give the chlorophenol character include monochlorophenols, such as 2-chlorophenol, dichlorophenols, such as 2,6-dichlorophenol, and 2,4-dichlorophenol. Higher chlorophenols like trichloorophenols and tetrachloorophenols are generally not very odor active and are much less important to the chlorophenic flavour. Now, these flavours are foreign to beer. They shouldn't be found in beer. When we find them in beer, there's been a problem in production. And generally they arise as taints. That is, they're formed outside of the brewing process and then they contaminate the beer and the brewing process itself. Commonly that's because of what someone's done in the brewery. For example, a common scenario is to find people cleaning equipment or cleaning floors or walls with hypochlorite, common disinfectant that contains chlorine. Somewhere else in the building, someone is washing the floors with a pine disinfectant. Now, either of those chemicals are fine. They can interact with the brewery without causing a problem. It's when the two of them meet in the drains underneath the brewery that the problems start, because the reaction between them forms chlorophenols. Those chlorophenols then permeate the brewery environment and contaminate ingredients, processing aid and packaging materials, and ultimately contaminate the beer. Now, when consumers taste the beer reminds them of mouthwash. Now, that's because chlorophenols are found in many mouthwashes. They're antibacterial agents. But we don't want the beer to be mouthwash. We want to be able to drink the beer. So it's important we eliminate the risks of chlorophenols. Chlorophenols can also arise in dispense systems, especially if people are using nylon beer lines. The nylon, if it's cleaned with chlorine-containing disinfectants, can build up a reservoir of chlorine that can then react with beer to give you chlorophenols. Now, when you're assessing chlorophenols, generally you'll find them from the odour from a short sniff. That's usually enough when the concentration is moderate to high. But if the level is very low, you really have to taste the beer. And you'll pick it up best with the retronasal technique. That's where you hold your nose, breathe in, take a sample into your mouth, and then breathe down through your nose. Let me show you. You'll find an antiseptic or medicinal character in the flavour in the mouth, and you may also find a difference in the mouthfeel that feels as if it's more hospital-like or medicinal. There are no real interactions with chlorophenols in beer. When they're there, you'll find them in the beer. Nothing will mask them, nothing will make them stronger. This is a foreign flavour that shouldn't be in your beer, and if it's there, there's a clear-cut reason. It's coming from contamination, it's coming from outside. Mostly assessors, once they're trained, don't have any great problem in finding chlorophenols in beer. They recognise the medicinal character, the antiseptic note. But sometimes assessors will confuse that medicinal character from chlorophenol with medicinal characters from bromophenols or iodophenols, or maybe even a different phenolic compound called guaiacol, which you'll find in Rauch beer or German smoked beers. When you taste all of these flavours side by side, they're all distinctively different, and you can learn to recognise them. But that's the importance of training, having each of these flavours in beer at the same intensity and learning the differences for yourself. You can't learn that from a textbook. This is a really important flavour, because when you have this flavour in your beer, the customers will drink less of your beer. You'll be selling less beer. Prevention is much more important than cure in this case. If you have a beer with chlorophenol in there, there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. You're going to have to pour it down the drain. You can't dilute it away with other beer. So because that's such an expensive exercise, make sure you don't get chlorophenols in your beer.